Yes.
Hi, this is Reverend Sir Arlene Freed of the Correllian News Service coming to you from the Parliament of World Religions, and I'm with Winfred Hodge Rose, who is a Troth elder and author. Welcome.
Thank you very much for having me here.
You're very welcome. So tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been a heathen for more than 30 years, and I've been writing for most of that time. I publish on my website, heathensoullore.net, and I've also published 3 heathen books and also a heathen children's book and a booklet with Yule celebrations.
Oh, yes, that's excellent. So what's your experience been like at Parliament so far?
It's wonderful. This is the first one I've been to. And I came because I was invited by Diana Paxson to speak on a panel on faith and freedom and heathenry. So I'm awfully glad that I went. I've been to some wonderful sessions and met lovely people and reconnected with heathen friends. It's been great.
Excellent. So what has been your path to heathenry? What brought you there?
Well, there is a story behind it. I was Episcopalian Christian, and I was devout. I sang in the choir. It meant a great deal to me. But I started having issues. One of the main things was the lack of feminine representation in the Godhead. Another one was the idea that humans are a special creation, that we're outside of nature or other than nature, which I simply don't agree with. But the interesting thing that got me off that path was a Jewish friend who went on a trip to Israel, and he came back and he said, "Oh, I know you want to hear all about what I saw in the Holy Land." And I remember thinking, but that's not my Holy Land. Why would I want to hear about it? And then I thought, well, he knows I'm a Christian. Of course, he would assume that would be important to me. So I went away after that conversation and started thinking, if the Christian Holy Land isn't my Holy Land, where is my Holy Land and why is it different? And so I started exploring that in my spirit and realizing it's the landscapes of Northern Europe that hold holiness for me. And then I started having some dreams of the Norse deities that were kind of pushing me in the direction. Actually, I didn't want to go there first, but they kept at it. And then I finally read the book, The Well and the Tree by Paul Bauschatz. And I had been looking for years and years for a form of philosophy. I'd taken philosophy courses and I never agreed with any of them. This book I agreed with. It was like my picture of what the universe is all about and what it's like. So that was it for me, and I stepped into that. And so it was almost more philosophy than religion that brought me in.
Thank you. That's a very interesting story, how people just drift into what suits to them. And may I ask, what exactly is heathenry?
Probably everybody might have a different answer. For me, it's a faith in a certain set of pantheons, not only one pantheon, because they were somewhat different in the different Germanic tribal federations or individual tribes, but a set of deities, a worldview, a history where they were kind of connected together, and things that happened with one affected the other one. They interacted together, cultural interactions, and very much the linguistic aspects of language. I speak German very well, and I taught myself to read Anglo-Saxon, Old Saxon, Old High German, Gothic, and to struggle with Old Norse. And the reason for that was so that I could read the old writings and learn the old words and context. So for me, language is a big part of it.
Now, there are some misconceptions about heathenry. There are a lot of people who feel that heathens have a very racist view. And I'm just wondering how you feel about that.
Some of them certainly do. And anything having to do with hostility, antagonism, unfairness to other people, I completely reject, and I think my co-religionists are right when they say that this was not part of the original worldview by any means. I can understand the feeling that some people have that their ethnicity is important, because people all around the world feel that. Native Americans feel that. All that people in different African tribes, South Asian, everything. It's important to people, and for some people, it's more important than others. If this sense connects you to meaningful roots, but doesn't prevent you from feeling kinship with other people, then I can totally understand that. If it means that you close yourself off from others and consider yourself better or worse, that's not right. So.
Thank you for clearing that up. It's very much appreciated. And, it's sad that there are so many people out there who follow that path, so, I understand that, since you're an author, what are some of the books that you have written?
The first book I wrote, actually it's 2 books, 2 volumes of the same book. It's called Heathen Soul Lore Foundations. And the subtitle is Ancient and Modern Germanic Pagan Concepts of the Souls. More than 20 years of research went into this, and it's the reason that I started learning these ancient languages. I started out by being curious about wanting to find traces of what we call shamanism. I realize that's a borrowed term in Anglo-Saxon tradition. And I found some interesting things. I wrote an article called An Anglo-Saxon Charm Against a Dwarf, Shape-Shifting, Soul Theft, and Shamanic Healing as a result of what I found. But I realized then that if we don't understand a culture's concepts of souls and spirits, you can't understand anything about shamanism or whatever form of that that we don't have a name for that they would be doing. Shamanism is the material they work with, our souls and spirits. And so, and it's culture based for each set of peoples who do that. So I realized I couldn't further pursue that research until I knew more about the souls. Well, where do you go to do that? Because everything you have is written by Christian missionaries who've changed it. So I decided to go back to see. I went through the whole dictionary of all those languages, and I picked out words that seemed that they might be related to the souls. And then I went, and this was before the internet, where you could browse or search for specific words. So I went through thousands of pages of ancient poems. A lot of it was Christian writings, sagas, tales, folklore, everything like that, to see how were those words used. And so I came up with a definition for what a soul is. So the definitions I used to decide which of these words I would say is a word for a soul. One of them is if it's a life soul, if in any of the texts you read that this soul, this Ahma or this Seifa or whatever, the ghost has left the person and the person died, then that's evidence that it is a life soul. A second criterion is, and it's the opposite, is if the soul can extrude itself from the body and take action at a distance without killing the body. Mm-hmm. And I call those the daemon souls or the wander souls. So I identified in total eight souls. 6 of them are life souls, and 2 of them are the wander souls, with the ghost being in between. And then there's a 9th soul that I believe arises from all of the other souls singing it into being. It's the harmonics between all these souls. And I should say that I do identify these as beings. These are not parts of your being. They all have parts. They all have will, thought, volition, wishes, emotions. And those are parts of them. But these souls, we're a household. I call it a soul household or a solar system, SOULAR system. And these 8 souls resonate together And what arises from that song is our sense of self in this life. So that's, so to go back to the book, so all the theory, the research, a lot of etymology and so forth has gone into this book, more than 20 years of work. And this is the theory of it. And then the second book is the practice, is how do you take this to a personal level? You know, how do you come to know these souls in your own life? How do you learn to recognize them and facilitate the best expression of them in your life? And that's what this book is about. This is my third book. It's called Oaths, Schild, Frith, Luck, and Weird, 5 essays exploring heathen ethical concepts and their use today.
So where can you purchase these books?
Well, I'd like to send people to my website, which is called heathensoulllore.net. And on that, I have each of the books is described. I have the full table of contents and then a link to Lulu. I self-publish these books, but they can also be found on Amazon or any other booksellers. And they're available in both printed and electronic format. And I also have published a children's book about the goddess Idun and how she's always been outsmarted by Loki. This time she outsmarts him. So it's called Idun's Trees, a new tale of the goddess Idun.
Thank you. Is this a new book that's out?
Fairly new, yeah. All of these are fairly new. The first one was 2021. And so yeah, the past 2 years I've published 4 books.
Wow. That's very, it's very unusual for so many books in such a short time, and that's excellent. So, where do you have any future projects?
Yes, I'm working now with a heathen colleague on a book about Orlog. And I'm also putting together a book of my writings about the deities and spiritual life that I'm calling Wandering on Heathen Ways. So those will be done when they're done. I'm working on them. I also have online a course, an entire coursework laid out if people would like to study the soul lore as I lay it out. I've got more than 100 articles up on my website. There's a lot of work there.
And what is that website?
heathensoulllore.net.
This has been Reverend Sir Arlene Freed of the Correllian News Service, coming to you from the Parliament of World Religions. And I'd like to say thank you very much, Winfred, for joining us today.
Thank you for this opportunity, and it's lovely to meet both of you, too.
Thank you so much. And back to you, and thank you for joining us today.